Hi everyone, Lisa here. Today I am going to show you how to make this adorable hat. It is being made with a mandala ombre, so it has this nice effect of color changes, and it's got a nice wide brim so that you can either leave it down if you want your hat to be a little slouchy, or you can bring it up if you like to have it shorter like that on your head. For this project, you're going to need a tape measure, one that will go up to at least 21 or 22 inches, a pair of scissors, a stitch marker, a darning needle with a big eye, or yarn needle with a blunt end, and a crochet hook that matches the size yarn that you're using. I am using a 4.5 millimeter hook because my yarn, although it is a medium 4 worsted weight yarn, it is on the thinner side. So if you can see that, it's really not thick at all. You're not going to need a whole ball. I would say half, maybe a little less than half of a ball of yarn. I am using this Lion brand mandala for this hat. It is 5.3 ounces or 150 grams, and like I said, you're going to need a lot less than that, maybe 50 to 75 grams. Like I said, it is a size 4 medium worsted weight yarn. It calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook, but since it's on the thinner side of the size 4, I'm using the 4.5. Also, I wanted the hat to be able to hold its form a little better. Not as slouchy or lacy, droopy. If you want a hat that's a little more like that, then use a bigger hook. This is the color Mantra. It is an acrylic. I believe it's 100% acrylic. Yes, it is 100% acrylic, and the color number on it is 551. I really liked the blues, and it also had green, or a blue-green that you can see here. Hopefully it shows up well on the camera. So it went from, it only had a little bit of this darker blue around the edge, and then it went to this darker green, and then lighter green, and then this very pale, you almost can't tell, but it is green, and then it goes up into this blue. Hopefully that shows up on camera well. If not, I apologize. So if you would like to make this hat with me, grab your hook, your yarn, your scissors, your darning needle, and a stitch marker, and I will meet you right back up here in a moment. To start the brim of the hat, you'll need to make a slip knot and a chain that equals 3 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's try 10. I put my work down here. Uh, 10 is not, well, if I stretch it, it's long enough, but I don't want to stretch it. It's about 2.5. So let's add a couple of more. 11, 12, let's try 13. So 13 looks pretty good. I'm going to chain one more for a turning chain and single crochet into this second chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, single crocheting all the way across these chains. I should have 13 when I get finished. Into the next and the next. So this is going to be a fairly simple hat. It's single crochets and chains. There'll be a few decreases, but nothing too complicated. We are going to be working into the back loops of these single crochets. So now that I'm at the end, I'm going to count and make sure that I have 13. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. 13 is right here on the end. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to see. And all we're going to do for each row is chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet into the back loop only. Make sure you're not going into this one here. This is your turning chain. It's where your turning chain's coming out of. That doesn't count. So we've got 1 just in the back loops. If you can see that, I hope it's showing up pretty good here on this camera. Just in the back loops. This hat is a part of a set that I'm making. I made the mittens already with you here. And the hat, we're making the brim of the hat the same way that we made the cuff of the mittens. If you didn't see that, go ahead and jump over when you're finished with your hat and check out that video. I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. And the last one, so chain 1, turn your work, and make your single crochets in the back loop only. Now I'm not going to tell you how many rows you're going to need because every hat for this is going to be different. What you need to do is measure this on your head. When you get to a length that seems like it might go around your head, put it up there and just see if it fits. Or you can take a measurement of your head. Just take your tape measure and measure around your head, like around your forehead, around the back of your head. So my head, I'm not going to show you on camera my measuring, but it measures about 21 inches, and I think 18 to 21 is about average for an adult head. So what you're going to want to do is, once you get your rows completed, or where you think it's going to be completed, you'll put your brim down and you'll measure until you have the length of brim that you need. Now I'm doing a 3-inch brim because I want it to be able to flip up over the hat or lay down. Either way would look good. So when you get to your desired length, I'll meet back up with you here then. So I've finished the brim. I'm coming out at 19 inches, but I put this around my head and it fit pretty good. So I am going to end my brim there. When you get to your very last row, you're gonna single crochet. Let's count how many rows we ended up with. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66. I have 66 rows. So you may have more than that. You may have less than that, depending on the size hook you used and the size yarn you used. So what we're going to do, and the size head you have. So we're going to bring these two ends together, and we're going to slip stitch. I'm going to go into the back of the back, well, I guess it would be the front loop. It's the one facing me, and my chain on the other side, and slip stitch. Get that tail out of the way. I'm going to slip stitch in each stitch across. So I'm going into this back bump here, or back loop, and through the chain on the other side that is right across from it, and slip stitch and into the next one. I should end up with 13 stitches across, 13 slip stitches. So the reason that we needed to count how many rows we had, that's how many single crochets we're going to need in the next portion that we do. So after this, we're going to be single crocheting in the round to make the hat portion of our hat, part that goes on your head. So that is going to be made in the rounds. We're not going to slip stitch and join for that. It's just going to be a continuous spiral going around and around. So I am going to keep track of mine with a stitch marker. Just a couple of more left. And I'm not going to move my stitch marker up each time. I'm just going to put my stitch marker in at the very beginning so that I know where I should be ending. Now the top portion of my hat, from here up, I want to be about 6 inches so that there's plenty of room to flip the brim up if I want it to, or if I don't want to flip the brim up, then it will be a little bit slouchy and comfortable. So now we need to single crochet around, and this can be a little difficult because, you know, we're working into the raw edge. So what we want to do is make sure that we have a single crochet for every row. So there'll be one here, one here, one here, one here, and so forth. So however many rows you had, that's how many single crochets you should have going around your hat. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Just try and get the same number of single crochets that you have rows. I'm going to continue doing my single crochets around, and I will meet back up with you when I get right here where the seam is. Now the seam really isn't noticeable. It just looks like another part of the humps for the ribbed effect. But I'm going to stick a stitch marker, there it is, right here. It's actually in the brim, not in the stitch, so that I'll know where my beginning and my ending of each round is. So I'll meet back up with you here when I get all the way around the brim of my hat with my single crochets. Okay, I've made it almost to the end of that first round of single crochets. You probably noticed that this is going a lot faster now that you have the ribbed stitches in. So I'm right here at the very end. This is my last one. And I am not going to join with a slip stitch here. I'm just going to go straight in with a single crochet, and that's how I'm going to work this hat in the rounds. Every time I get around, all the way around, single crocheting all the way around to back here, I'm not going to slip stitch and join, I'm just going to single crochet. So once my hat gets to 6 inches, which will be about, make sure I have the right end of this, which will be right about here, about that much. Oh, see if I can get this all in camera, about where my middle finger is up here. So when my hat gets to about there, then I will meet back up with you here. Now that the top of your hat from the brim up is approximately 6 inches, or at least that's how big I'm going to make mine, you're ready to start closing in the top. To do that, we're going to, and I know I'm back at the beginning because I'm here where my seam is, and I've actually come over probably 2 extra, so I'm going to take both of those out. So for this round, you want to crochet 2 together and single crochet in the next. Single crochet 2 together, single crochet 1, 2 together, 2 together, and 1 into the next one. So you're going to do that all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Single crochet, 2 together, and 1 single crochet. 2 together, 1 single crochet. 2 together, 1 single crochet. All the way around until you get back here to the beginning, and I will meet right back up with you there. So I've made it back around to the beginning. It doesn't matter if your stitch count doesn't come out perfectly, like where you've done 2 together and then ended on 1, or you know how it ended up here at the end. It really doesn't matter. And this last row is going to be just 2 together all the way around. 2 stitches, 2 single crochets together. So you're going to have half of the stitches that you had in your very last round. I didn't count my last round, and I won't be counting this one, but I'll know that I'm done when I get back around to here. 2 single crochets together, 2 single crochets together, and just keep working like that all the way around, and I will meet back up with you on the other side of this round. I am back at the beginning of this round, and the hole is still kind of big, but not too big for this next part. If your hole is much bigger than this and you want to bring it in even tighter, you can do another round of single crochet 2 together, but I'm going to stop there. And in the very next stitch, I'm going to do a slip stitch and fasten off. Now for this, you're going to want a pretty good tail, because you're going to sew this hole shut. So once you've made your slip stitch and you've trimmed your yarn, you can pull that on through to fasten it off. Make sure you bring it down kind of tight so that knot won't come out. Grab your needle. Mine is over here hiding. Thread up your needle, and I've probably got too long of a tail, but that's okay. And all you're going to do is go in through one stitch and out the next. Do I guess it's called a whip stitch. And as you go around and you pull that tight, just in, weaving in and out of these stitches. And as you go around and pull, you'll see that your hat will tighten up nicely. Let's see if I can get this in here a little better. So you're just weaving in and out. And pulling your yarn on through. And in and out. And in and out the next stitch. And almost back at the beginning. Now I still have a little bit of a hole up here, even after I pull it tight. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go around mine one more time to make sure that it doesn't come out. So I'm just kind of weaving in and out, just pulling up the little bits and going around it one more time, and that will help secure that hole closed. And now to make for certain that my hole is closed and this isn't going to come apart, I am going to sew over some of these stitches. Just kind of bring it over under some stitches to make sure that this hole is completely closed. Now I am probably going to put a pom-pom on this. I'm not 100% sure. If I do, it'll hide this little bit. If not, it'll still look good on your head. So I'm just going to finish sewing this up. And I'm going to make sure that it's not going to come loose by putting a knot in here. So I'm just going to come up through a stitch underneath a strand of yarn, make a little loop, and go around that loop a couple of times to make a nice knot. And then I'm going to poke my needle down through the top and bring it out through the inside. And on the inside of the hat is where I'm going to sew in my end. So I'm just going to go through some of these strands one way, still working down. Just, it's important to get a little inch or two going one way and then back up the other way. And try to get under the strands and not like into the middle holes. You really want this to be secure. So then I'm just going to come up under some of these strands and back down through some of those. And 3 times is your magic number. When you go up, back, and up again, there's no way for it to come out. You can go back and forth this way across your strands if you want, as long as you're making sure to get under those loops and not just like through a hole. Okay, I'm going to snip this off. And the only thing left is to sew in this tail here, which I'll do off camera. Take out my stitch marker. And this is what the hat looks like. And the little brim can be turned up. And there you are. And this is the hat. And I've already made the mittens to go with it. We did that in another video, and I will leave a link to the mittens video at the bottom in the description if you'd like to make the mittens to go with the hat. And the next video will be the scarf. So thank you for joining me for this video, and if you like these videos, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel and share the video. I would love to see your work for the hats and mittens that you make. Please leave comments below if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.